And so will you welcome our first testimony tonight from the Landing, Elias.
Hi, my name is Elias. I'm here from Marijuana, and I've been attending CR since I was 4 years old. I grew up going to Rock Solid Kids and moved up to the Landing 5 years ago. I've always enjoyed CR, but didn't really practice any of the recovery steps outside of Tuesday nights. My freshman year, I started smoking and vaping because I thought it was cool. At first, I used to only do it around friends, and eventually, I was used to doing it on my own daily. Eventually, I got in trouble at my house and suspended at school. Because of this, I was required to get into a step study and find a sponsor. This made me mad because it would be a waste of time, or I thought it would be a waste of time, but in order for them to let me go back to school, I had to. So I joined a step study and asked someone to sponsor me. The reason I asked this person is because I knew they had similar struggles as mine. I didn't know him very well, but he seemed friendly and genuine. I knew his story included some of the things I was struggling with. The first time we met, it was a little awkward for me. I didn't know what I was supposed to do, but he helped me start the conversation by asking questions. I don't really call my sponsor too often, although if I'm having a really rough time, I will call or text him. I do meet with him in person weekly, unless one of us is too busy that week or out of town. It is convenient to meet weekly because it keeps me in check. It also makes it easier to explain the situations I'm going through. My sponsor has helped me by listening without judgment. This is important to me because at my age, a lot of people still tell me what I can or can't do. My sponsor talks to me about his experiences without forcing me or peer pressure me to do what he thinks is the right thing. This helps me to keep honest with him. Recently, I shared my inventory with him. I was nervous at first, but as time went on, with me sharing, I felt stress-free. Even though getting a sponsor may be as nerve-wracking as asking someone out on a date and risking rejection, I would recommend it. It's worth the risk. If they can't sponsor you, you can always ask someone else. Sometimes I still struggle with the idea of needing someone else in my life to walk alongside me. It's work to set up times to meet, and sometimes I don't want to do some of the things suggested. But with the help of my sponsor and the Landing friends, I'm learning to persevere. I'm experiencing what Ecclesiastes 4:9 says. 2 people are better than one, so they can help each other succeed. Since getting a sponsor and starting to work some of the recovery steps, my life has gotten better. I'm not paranoid anymore. Before, whenever I heard my name being called, I always feared I was going to be in trouble because I knew I was hiding things. Now I have less stress in my life. I can also speak up more than I used to. This helps me not hide things inside and later act out in secret. I've been able to stay clean off drugs and nicotine for some time now. I'm enjoying life more and laughing some. Having a sponsor has been a good experience for me and a healthy process that I really believe everyone will benefit from. Thank you for letting me share about my journey. Let me introduce my sponsor, Sam.
That young man was pretty awesome right there. To be that age, to have been in a step study, completed it, and gone over his inventory is pretty impressive to me. Hello, my name's Sam. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ, and I am in recovery for addiction. First of all, I want to thank Elias for coming up here, overcoming his fears, and having the courage to come up and share his testimony on sponsorship. He has been a huge blessing in my life and an encouragement to work my own recovery better. He is an amazing young man, and I am a better man for knowing him. Thank you, Elias. As for myself, when it comes to speaking on sponsorship, I get very excited, and I'll do my best to explain why. Let me start by saying the program I started off in, Narcotics Anonymous, it is said that the heart of the program beats when 2 addicts get together and share their recovery. It also says that one addict helping another is without parallel because one addict can best understand and help another addict. Now, I realize that not everyone in here is an addict and may be in recovery for any number of things. That's one of the benefits of Celebrate Recovery. There's something here for everyone. I don't know about any of you, but when I first came in here, I barely had a heartbeat, and I needed all the help I could get. And part of what was suggested was to get a sponsor. I've had a couple of different sponsors since getting into recovery, and I've learned a lot from each and every one of them, and I appreciate them all very much. When I was faced with getting a new sponsor, I was looking for someone who knew me well and would not be afraid to call me out on my stuff and would not sugarcoat it. I wanted a sponsor who knew the Celebrate Recovery program well, and I think he does, and would not point me back to the steps and to God. I also wanted a sponsor that I trusted and could share anything with without fears of it getting out to anyone else or being judged for what I shared. I have found all of that and so much more in Scott. I was already friends with Scott, but the sponsor-sponsee relationship has brought us even closer as friends and closer as sponsor-sponsee. I love my sponsor, and I go to him with just about everything, especially when it comes to things that are life-changing and very important. I meet with Scott pretty regular on a consistent basis, and I call him often. It did not start off like this. It did take work. I had to call him regularly at first and meet with him often, usually once a week. Doing this made it easy for me to reach out to him, and it has become comfortable. Having built that relationship has made it not only easy to call him when life is going good and not much going on, but it has also made it easy to call him when it seems like the weight of the world is coming down on me. If I hadn't done these things he'd suggested, like calling and meeting him regularly early on, I don't think we'd have the relationship that we do right now, or I wouldn't have the confidence in him that I need when I really need to share stuff. Having this relationship with him, I believe, has also made it easier for him to call me and ask me how things are going with me. How's that situation we talked about last week? How are things going? How's that inventory coming? He encourages me in all areas of my life, including my step work. I say that because I was dragging my feet a bit in my inventory, and because of that, and because we talk often, he knew exactly where I was at. He then just simply encouraged me to continue on with my work and to come up with a deadline to finish it so we can go over it. Doing this keeps me motivated and accountable, and it keeps me to continue in my step work and to finish my inventory. And it worked. Not only did I finish a step study just recently with a great group of men, but I completed my 4th step, and I went over it with my sponsor. What a relief. He didn't look at me weird. He didn't squirm in his chair and try to back away from me. He just simply asked, "How do you feel after getting all that out?" That was it. No judgment at all, just how do you feel? I was relieved to have finished it and go over it with him. My life seems to be so much more mellow again. I was amazed at how much there was to go over since I'd done this several times before. What I've learned is that I don't remember everything from my past at all times. So when I do an inventory, I put down what I do remember and add things that I come up with that I need to work through. That's why I'm reminded that recovery is a process and one that I need to work on regularly. I've really had to use him a lot lately. I've had back surgery just a couple months ago and did that with no pain meds. Not that I recommend that, but that's what I had to do. I did that with the help of my sponsor and my accountability group. I'm a chemical addict and I did not want to unleash my addiction again. I've also lost two close friends recently, 2 very good ones. One was Brother Rick, who I used to serve with here. He died in a motorcycle accident. And the other one was a friend, very close friend, that died because of an overdose. The one who overdosed was a good, close family friend, and he was just like me. Because of drugs, he had lost everything, his job, his car, then his wife and his kids. We met in recovery. We became close friends. He was working a program with a sponsor, and slowly his life improved. He eventually got his job back, and he became a very valuable employee. He got his car and then a new truck, which I sold to him. And after much work, he eventually was reunited with his wife and kids and moved back home. He had a great life going on for him and his family. But then he stopped going to meetings as much as he stopped going to as many meetings, and his contact with the sponsor went down. He started hanging out with guys who drank. He didn't drink right away, but eventually he did, and before too long, he went back to using the drug of his choice, and it killed him. He was no different than me. I just chose to work this life-saving program so I don't go back to that life. I was able to talk with my sponsor, Scott, about all of this, do some crying, and stay in the solution, not become part of the problem or a statistic. Because of my sponsor and his guidance and suggestions, I'm a much better person today. I have been through some of the hardest times ever in recovery lately, and have made it through them without using drugs at all, which has always been what I turned to before. I know that it is because of this wonderful program that we have here, and because of the relationship I have with my sponsor and my accountability group. Seems like I should have went somewhere else. I feel totally comfortable with my accountability group. They are my recovery group. These guys are my teammates. As Scott Miller would say, they are always with me, on my left and on my right. Just out of curiosity, if I were to say over here, do I have anybody with me on my right? Just say yeah. Loud. On my left? Yeah. On my right? Yeah. That's awesome. That was for you, Mr. Miller. Now I lost myself. Okay. They are my teammates, and I already went through that part. My sponsor, though, he is my coach, and why I meet with him so often. He guides me through my recovery and always points me to Jesus and the steps. He has been in recovery for a long time, and he knows the steps very well. He attends meetings regularly, and he continues to do step studies and works the steps. Because of this, it helps me to learn and in turn do the same for my sponsees. I want them to see that I don't just say these things, but I want them to actually see me doing all of this. I want to lead by example and let people see the changes in my life by working the steps and the benefits of having a sponsor. Now let me tell you the really awesome part of this story. The biggest reward I've had so far, besides my own personal recovery, is watching those I am sponsoring, like Elias here, working this simple program. I've seen his life change right before my eyes. I'm not sure if he even realizes how much he has grown. He has come to me over and over again, talking about life in general. Some of it is ordinary, normal, everyday normal stuff, and some of it is not your average everyday stuff. He has asked for advice, and I've done my best to guide him the way that I've been guided, through prayer, step work, and by doing things in a godly way. I've watched him take suggestions and work his program to the best of his ability, and I've seen his life change in so many ways. Excuse me. These are expensive seats that we have right here, and if I am not working a solid program of recovery with my sponsor, if I'm not meeting with him regularly, and if I'm not talking often, telling him all the little insignificant things going on in my life, as well as the heavy-duty, difficult things that are going on, I will slowly back away, start to isolate, and eventually return to what I've always sought after in difficult times: drugs. They will take me to places I never wanted to go again: lying, stealing, manipulating, and using. I will surely lose everything that I have, things I love. All of you here, my sponsor, my job, my car, my wife, and my kids. That is not a place I want to return. I love the friends that I have here. I have an amazing job, and the relationship I have with my kids today has improved so much. And my relationship with my wife, Shani, has been restored. She is my favorite person to hang out with. We share everything together, but most of all, the most important thing that we do is we talk. We talk often about everything, even those difficult sit-down conversations, ones I would avoid and run from before. We are closer today than ever, and would not trade that for the world. Yes, recovery, accountability, and sponsorship has given me a life I could have only dreamed of. If you are not living that life or on the road to it, it is here for you. If you are sponsoring yourself and think you do not need a sponsor, you are sponsoring a fool. Stop sponsoring yourself and get a sponsor. If you don't have a sponsor yet, it's okay. Look around and listen to others who have what you want. Not the nice cars and the nice homes, but nice lives and peace in their heart. The best place to find them is in small group. Talk with them, get to know them, and then take a chance and ask one of them to sponsor you. It may just be the best thing that you could do for your recovery. If you're not sponsoring someone right now and you are qualified to sponsor someone, do it. There are men and women in here that need your guidance. Thank you for letting me share. Now, let me introduce you to my sponsor, Scott, who has guided me in so many different things, so many life-changing moments in my life. He's a great man. Scott. Super good.
Thank you, Sam. Like I mentioned earlier, my name is Scott, grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I'm in recovery from sex addiction and compulsive overeating. Hey, I got only a few moments left, Sam. I love you. It's just like your fourth step long. I dig it. I was reading in AA, page 90, it says this about sponsoring. It says, if he does not want to stop drinking, don't waste time trying to persuade him. You may spoil a later opportunity. This advice is given to his family also. And that thought rings true in my life. And when I sponsor, that's what I try to hold on to, is I can't want his recovery more than he wants it. And I don't chase him. I don't run after him. I will reach out to him, but I do not chase or run after him. One of the first things that I hand guys that ask me, will you sponsor me, is I go, let's see how bad you want it. You text me or call me for 90 days straight. I may not answer, I may not respond to your text message, but you hit me 90 days in a row and we'll go from there. And a lot of guys make it 3-4 days and then I see they disappear. And there's other guys like Sam that have reached out those 90 days straight. There's other guys in this room that have reached out 90 days straight. And to me, that is a sign of somebody who is willing to do whatever it takes to make that change. There's 3 questions that I will ask that my sponsor asked me. And he asked me, do you have a problem? Yes, I have a problem. I have a sex problem. I have a food problem. Do you want to get rid of it? Yes, I do. I want to get rid of it. And then he asked me this question that I hated. Are you willing to do whatever it takes? And I paused and I waited and I wanted to say, honestly, not really, because I wasn't quite there yet. But I said yes. And I went through quite a few months of this guy working with me and helping me in my recovery. And I thank that man today. Thank you, Mike, for doing that in my life. I have many other sponsees that I hold to and I hang on to and I talk with, but I guarantee the work I do for them isn't as good as the work that they do for themselves. And that's what happens, is the sponsorship is 2 ways. It's not only Sam sponsoring or Sam meeting with his sponsor, but it's me getting ministered to by him when I get an opportunity to sponsor him. Just like when he sponsors Elias, he gets a chance to be ministered to by giving back. I was reading in the NA book today, and it talked about the importance of a program to provide sponsors. And I just think that that is huge. How many people that are in this room today that have gone through a step study, that have gone through the 4th step, that know how to do those things, that I want to encourage you today to provide sponsorship for others. That you would step up and you would say, I'm willing to sponsor somebody. I'm willing to help them walk through the 4th step just like I walked through the 4th step. I'm willing to help them make amends just like I made amends. But let me encourage you this today, to ask yourself those 3 questions. Do you have a problem? Are you willing to, do you want to get rid of it? And are you willing to do whatever it takes? Those 3 questions. Let's stand and close with the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace. Taking as Jesus did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it. Trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen.